Welcome to America's Heroes Group.
Welcome back to America's Heroes Group Roundtable with our partner, Veteran Legislative Voice. January is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, and today is Saturday, January 29th, 2022. I'm Sean Claiborne. Our host is Cliff Kelley. Our executive producer is Glenda Smith, and our digital media producer is Ivan Ortega of Scouts Honor Productions. And please join America's Heroes Group now on our global live streaming on Facebook. Radio talk show is going on right now as we speak. You can like and share so others will become connected and get our information. You can also listen to America's Heroes Group or see us on the iHeartRadio app and on Roku. We are on digital platforms like Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and our partner Zondra's TV networks. So log in and stay informed. America's Heroes Group, just search americashg.org or just search America's Heroes Group, and you will pull us up on Zondra TVs at Zondra's with a Z, Z-O-N-D-R-A, TV networks. And today we have our partner, a great voice you've heard many times, a U.S. Army Reserve Sergeant, First Class, and veteran, founder and creator of the Veterans Legislative Voice, which is Stephanie Kalota, none other. How you doing, Stephanie?
Doing great. I'm excited to be here.
Great to hear your voice again. It's pretty good. And then also, we want to talk about some things that affect education, especially the GI Bill. So tell us what is going on with the GI Bill and what is on your radar as far as non-payment.
So there is a variety of issues that are going on. One that has also been in the news lately for the past 2 years is, of course, COVID, because of the cancellation of schools, the conversion to online classes. They've actually have instituted an extension on expiration of the Montgomery GI Bill, because a lot of times you have a certain amount of time to use it. So the VA has extended that expiration date. And then most recently, helping out another Army Reserve soldier, she actually was removed from her college because there was a non-payment of her tuition. The problem actually stemmed from her admin profile. For anyone that's in the military and they had to deal with admin or HR issues, most people cringe or shudder. Mm-hmm. On the system, it shows that she is a GED student, grad, and not a high school grad. And there's specific requirements on top of that. So the VA or the government is not paying for her tuition because her admin profile is incorrectly showing a feature that would disqualify her. And these little things.
Just to back up for a second. So a GED does not qualify for GI benefits? I didn't know that.
There's an extra stipulation to that. You have to have 12 college credits on top of that you have to pay yourself, and not the military pay for it. And it can't count towards your college degree pass. So that's a little fine line that not many people know about.
I had no idea about that. So if you have a GED, which a lot of veterans, a lot of people in the military, especially coming out of high school, because for a lot of people they even struggle with the ASVAB, which is the test to get into the military.
Yes.
And I remember when I went into the military that there was even programs to help kids get their high school diploma or even get a GED. So it's surprising me that you would sign up and you have to get 12 hours on your own. Pay for that out of your own pocket, and just to get your GI Bill, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people join, to get the GI Bill.
Well, the usage of the GI Bill and the waivers for that actually have lessened quite a lot in the last decade, especially that, with the height of the war, they were allowing a lot and have all these wonderful programs for service members, and that's the reason why they joined. But as the war started to, dwindle down and now no war, that waiver and that opportunity is slowly becoming harder for the people that are in need of it. So that's a big thing as well.
Oh, that's wild.
And so, back to this Army Reserve soldier, it's one little category in her giant admin profile that is causing her not to get her college tuition covered by the government, because she's actively in the reserves, actively drilling, did all of her required stuff, and right now she's having an issue just because one thing will not change. And it's so frustrating because, the government, they go for the lowest bidder, so the systems and the databases are not always the best, and they come with their own issues. And so there's a lot of glitches. When I used to work for the Army Reserve as a DoD civilian, I was constantly having to call higher, ask for advice, instructions on how to fix many things, because we had a lot of issues. And me personally, I was accidentally discharged for the Army Reserve while I was deployed. I couldn't log into my computer with the CAC card, if anybody knows. That's how you do it in the government. And I couldn't go make doctor's appointments or fill prescriptions.
Wait.
While
So
I was
you were
deployed.
accidentally discharged from the military?
Yes, while deployed.
You're on deployment, you're accidentally discharged. That's
Yes.
wild. Like, that's like jumping out of a plane with a parachute. Like, how does that happen?
No, it's crazy. And I was working in one of the most dangerous places that you could work in. It's at a port. You know, you got the cranes, you got all the trucks, all the moving parts, and anything could happen to me and nothing would be covered because I wasn't in. And that little blip, like the Army Reserve soldier, I couldn't get my Montgomery GI Bill because it was showing that I didn't fully serve my contract, that I broke my contract. So I had to go through the whole problem and calling my congressperson. And for anyone that is in that issue, always try to identify the problem first. Call the VA. They have a hotline for the VA education benefits. It's 888-442-4551. So that's, again, 888-442-4551. Call them and ask them what's going on. Then if it's something that's going on with the system and the admin and what have you, go to seek to their unit. If your immediate unit can't help, you go higher and you push for them to call higher. Because so often they're like, I can't fix it, and just shrug and stop. Well, if there's no resolution, you call your congressperson. Don't email. Look them up. Call the local or the DC office that they have and request an appointment with a staff member that handles the veterans and military affairs. Because often the one that answers the phone is an intern, usually unpaid, that has the least amount of experience. So be prepared to have to deal with that and ask for an appointment. Don't email them, call or leave a message, call and get an appointment, that phone call. And if you don't get it, keep calling back.
And Stephanie, also give us your social media information. Give us your handle and everything else that we need to do in order to get in contact with you, to follow you on social media, things like that.
Yep, Veteran Legislative Voice. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and my website is VETS legislativevoice.org. And then I've got another thing to talk about that is also included with these education benefits. It's a systemic issue with history. The Black veterans from World War II were actually denied majority of their education and their VA loan benefits when they returned from war. So it's not something that's really new, and that's what hurt a lot of these people in trying to improve themselves in their lives.
Do you think a lot of it's just, we talk about the admin NCO, not to throw fire on the admin NCO, because, a lot of them do a great job. Yeah. But a lot of times it seems like in my unit, I remember there was an issue where we had education benefits that were paid out, but it wasn't tracked. So we didn't even know money was even going to our schools. And then all of a sudden we got hit with back taxes because you have to claim that as income. And then we got hit with back taxes and penalties because we're for years, asking our admin NCO, our admin office, hey, when are we getting our benefits? When are we getting our benefits? When are we getting our benefits? And then you forget about it because you're busy with school. A couple of years go by. Then all of a sudden it just pops up in your bursar's office. And then the next thing you know, another couple of years later, you get a national letter from the IRS saying that you owe back taxes. So it almost negates part of the benefit that you worked hard to get.
Yeah, and it's so confusing and it's so frustrating. And there's multiple different types of education benefits because you got tuition assistance, you've got a variety of Montgomery GI Bills, and then you also have voc rehabilitation, or I'm pronouncing that right, but voc rehab from VA. And so many different things and so many nuances and so many fine lines. It is so confusing. Go ahead.
Now, I was going to ask you a question. So is it true that, because I couldn't use most of my benefits because I went to a private school. And in the National Guard, you have to go to a state school in order to get the student tuition payment program, which is a great program, one of the best programs, the most underutilized programs, I think, in the country. So so people that are listening, you can go join the National Guard, Air National Guard, or Army National Guard in your state or in another state. In that state, you have access to pretty much all of the state loans you get in, for education, their education requirements, and once you get admitted to the school, you have access to free tuition for all of that for all 4 years of your undergrad or graduate education. But however, it's got to be a state or a state school. My question is, though, does that cover also technical schools, like trade schools, things like that? Can you use things like the GI Bill, which is a different program, but a GI Bill, can that be used for a trade school?
Yes, you definitely can. And you can also use it for different types of apprentices. I do recommend for people to call the hotline to get more information on that, because, of course, I'm not the expert on that. But, yes, you can use that. And then the apprenticeships are great. One of the things that I do recommend for a lot of people that go for the Army Reserve Guard and they think about vocational schools, there are tradesman jobs in the Army Reserve and the National Guard. I used to work for the engineers. Mm-hmm. There's bricklayers. There's the road guys that actually do the horizontal work for roads and what have you. There's construction workers. There's electricians, plumbers, all of that in the Reserve and Guard. And I'm like, that is the best way to go, because you get that training there from the school. You can go to go and use for the vocational schools and get a lot more experience on top of that. You're set. Most people make $60,000 as soon as they're out of education.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was a medical company, so there was tons of people that were using education benefits, and they turned out to be they worked they're in operating rooms across the country. They're nurses, they're paramedics, all kinds of different things. There's been a lot of this because they got a head start because they had the training in the military, and if God forbid, but if you get deployed, you're getting experienced beyond anybody else. Trauma center, join the military. You want to learn how to work in a trauma center? Get deployed. And you're as a medic, you'll learn all about trauma and about everything you possibly get around trauma. So what are the things that we need to know about the GI Bill, and also this thing about non-payment? That's the part that I still not quite understand. Like, where is the disconnect? Why aren't payments getting sent to the schools on a timely basis? And then what can students do to make sure that their payments are being tracked? How can they track their payments?
Well, honestly, call the VA every month and double check. I contact the VA benefits line every month, and I also call my financial office every month, because every time that I go through a new term, my school automatically loads me up for a loan. So every term every 2 months, I have to deny a loan. So say, I'm going to use my VA benefits, not get a loan, please. And so those type of things that you just have to be on top of it. It's frustrating as hell, but it's worth it. The non-payments happen for a variety of reasons. Admin issues. There's a disconnect between the financial office and the VA. I've gone to a large variety of schools. One that I've been to, the American Military University out of the America public system, they were great because that's how they run. They opened up as veterans, like it's for veterans, by veterans, everything. And then different schools have different experiences and systems for it. I'm now with Southern New Hampshire University, and I have to do the call-in every month, every other month. But honestly, it still works and it's still going great. You just have to be on top of it.
It sounds like a lot of work. Is there any online systems? Do you see in the future things getting more automated, or people using more technology now? Is that ever happening in the VA system?
There was actually. I'm not prepared for that one, but they have changed it. And the Army Reserve used to have one that you would log in to start the setup, and then you would see the processing. And I feel really bad that I cannot remember the website, but and I know they converted to a new one. So I can have it back to you guys for information later, if that's okay.
Yeah, and I'll put it on your website too, so people can log in. Guys, everybody listening, go onto her website, check out what she has. She has a ton of information and things, not just pertaining to this topic, but other topics as well. It's very important, because this is the things we need to be on top of in the legal side of things, and make sure that positive change actually happens for veterans across the country. Because if we can get some of these laws changed and some of these processes changed, then it makes everybody's life easier, and we have less of these mistakes and mishaps and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, there is a new bill that had passed the House, and it was very contested between the partisan lines. It's called the Guard and Reserve GI Bill Parity Act. What that is for is to actually allow the Reserve and Guard to use the post 9/11 GI Bill, the culmination of their active duty time, for their training. So post 9/11 GI Bill is what happens if you get deployed on federal time. And then all of those months add up to a certain percentage of coverage for your tuition. So if you serve 90 days in active duty a federal activated order, you get the base of like 40% of your tuition would be covered. But then if you go all the way up to 30 months or more, it can go up to 100%. And the great part about the post 9/11 GI Bill is that they include a BAH on top of it while you're doing your college classes. And for a lot of people that are going to school and trying to do two jobs so they can pay for their own finances, their living, room, and board on top of their college, this is very helpful so they can actually focus full time on the college.
So you get a housing allowance and things like that to cover like a lot of those everyday expenses like food, like water, things like that, electricity, things you might need so you can actually study.
Exactly. And with the Reserve and Guard, there's multiple different types of activation. So you got your training, your basic and AIT or your secondary trainings, and then you got your drill weekends. You're 2 weeks a month, or 2 weeks a year, or really 3 weeks a year. And then on top of that, any other classes you got to go to. So for soldiers, you have a school to go to for every promotion for E5 and above. So that's 4 weeks of training that you're going to be away. And a lot of people that were against this bill, they worry about the amount of funds that will be used in excess for this. Well, the thing is that the post 9/11 GI Bill will not be available for a lot of people soon because there's no war. And so there's the likelihood of deployments and actual rotation of deployments dropped significantly. And so this training, when you add it all up, it takes for a service member to get 100% of their GI Bill or their tuition covered by the post 9/11, it takes them 12 years just to get to 100%. So to me, that's a retention bonus because 12 years is 2 6-year contracts. So those type of things would be really awesome for people that are in for the long haul and to motivate them to stay in for the long haul.
Especially getting advanced degrees, things like that, getting a master's degree or a PhD. They could see that being really handy. I remember a few years ago there was a lot of talk in Congress because there was a big problem with, and a lot of schools shut down. There's a lot of for-profit schools that were taking advantage of veterans because they saw all this money coming from the GI Bills and all this government benefit money coming in, and even people, the regular, everyday, average civilian who was turning on TV late at night and see this commercial saying, "Hey, get off your butt and come to our school." For-profit school, but not getting the training that they were supposed to be getting in some of these colleges. And then the government just basically said, hey, you have to prove that you're actually helping these kids out, or otherwise we're cutting off your funding. Have you seen a reform in the for-profit school section or world? Is that a lot of these schools, I know a lot of them went out of business. And are there any out there still around that people should be worried about, or how is that world shaping up now?
There is a lot. There's still significant amount of them out there. So University of Phoenix actually qualifies as a for-profit school. There's other colleges like Full Sail. There's art institutes. ITT Tech is one of them that shut down. My boyfriend actually had gone to them until they shut down, and he when those things happen, you have to apply for forgiveness on the student loan for that. So he just got the payment back for that. And you got to fight it. Well, now Department of Education is now also reviewing all of those for-profit schools for veterans now. So keep an eye out on those. It came out from The Hill, an article by Mr. Will Hubbard about this on the Department of Education evaluating those for-profit schools for veterans.
So do you vouch for any schools that are out there that are for-profit, or do you think pretty much steer clear from for-profits, go to a community college? What's your view on that?
I personally go to nonprofit or, the state schools and stuff. I almost was sold by Full Sail University, but the thing is that the costs were so much higher, and the Yellow Ribbon program that's out there wouldn't even cover. And so for me, that's on a fixed income. I had to say no to that, even though the program looks so cool. But I have no idea whether that would actually be beneficial for my career because there's nothing out there to do that evaluation as of yet.
And did your boyfriend, did he think that school that he went to was a Full Sail, you said? Was that a good school? Did he get good learning or good education, or was it something that he felt was like not really helpful?
No, it was ITT Tech, and
Oh,
so
ITT,
he
okay.
went and he had just enough education for a tier 1 tech for all those IT people out there, and everybody thought when the IT world was really becoming that it's going to be a big money grab for people that are specialized in this field. Well, the thing is that with so many people out there going for these degrees, the amount of people that were getting paid dropped significantly. Like there are tier 1 techs that are being paid $15 an hour.
Wow.
Which is very unfortunate. And for majority of the U.S., you cannot live on that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very tough.
I remember there was a lot of nurses that went to school that didn't even, when they would go through these programs, pay tons and tons of money, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in these nursing programs, and they'll come out and not have the basic skills to even work in any hospital anywhere. They couldn't even barely get a job in a nursing home because they weren't properly trained. But they had no idea because they're going to school thinking they're trusting these institutions to get this training, and they had none of the stuff that the basic minimum requirements to get any kind of job, real job in the healthcare field.
Yes, and it's very true. Yeah, I remember evaluating those for my own side for trying to figure that out, and it's rough and it's hard because there's not a lot of information out there.
Well, Stephanie, I appreciate your time, and always great to hear your voice. Any last words?
Just don't put up with the word no. Keep fighting and keep going and call your congresspeople.
And also don't forget, go on Stephanie's social media. Look up Stephanie on the Legislative Voice, Veterans Legislative Voice. Is that still website again? VeteransLegislativeVoice.org or .com?
.org. That's VETS, Legislative Voice.
Okay, perfect. And then also keep in mind, Stephanie's on our show every month, so log into America's Heroes Group. Go to our website, americashg.org. You can also listen to us on the Apple TV, on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Zondra's TV networks. This is America's Heroes Group. We'll be right back.